All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to day 5 of the Average Joe podcast, 30 podcasts in 30 days challenge. On this episode, we are going to be talking about watches, specifically my watches, my watch collection. I have 8 watches right now that are currently in my rotation. I'll also talk about some future ones that I would like to acquire. I'll talk a little bit just about my understanding of watches, my background with watches. So, without further ado, let's dive into it. So, even as a kid, I always liked having something on my wrist. I liked watches, I liked bracelets. I also really like James Bond movies, and a huge part of his character is watches. So in the older films, there's different types of watches, Rolexes. In most of the newer films, it's Omega. But I always thought it was so cool, the different watches he had, the different things they could do. And then from my understanding, there's a great article from Art of Manliness going over the types of wristwatches. So there's 3 primary types of movements. There's quartz, which is your battery powered watches. Those are pretty standard, usually on the more inexpensive side. There's mechanical, which are the hand wind, and then there's automatic, which those just the movement of your wrist powers those watches. And then from there, there's 5 primary types of watches. Again, of course, there's other types outside of this, but number 1 would be a dress watch. So typical, clean face, minimal complications, leather strap, Roman numerals, just like a Cartier tank would be the classic example of a dress watch. The next watch would be a field watch, which is military inspired, usually also a leather strap, easy to read, pretty simple. The Hamilton khaki field would be a really good example. That's actually a watch I have here. The third type would be a dive watch. So those are meant for, well, diving. Rolex Submariner, that would probably be the most popular model there, but those are stainless steel bands typically, or waterproof bands. They usually are bigger and bigger faces, so they're easier to see underwater. And a lot of them have a crown around where you can track how much time has been going on. And then the fourth one would be pilot's watches. These are typically on a leather strap, meant for pilots, usually more complications with them. Date, timers. Breitling has a lot of these. And then the fifth one would be racing watches. So the Tag Heuer Monaco would be a great example. Those usually have a tachometer, if I'm pronouncing that right, and a lot of complications. Those are usually more fun, sporty. They could be leather or stainless steel. But those are 5 basic types. There's tons of other types. There's GMTs, there's smartwatches, there's all sorts of other stuff. But I like having that framework of the 3 different types of movements and 5 different types of watches. So, with that said, I'll dive into my watch collection chronologically. What's on my wrist right now actually is an Apple Watch. I wasn't planning on including this, but since it's here, I think I've actually probably had this one the longest. I use it for workouts, specifically for running. It's really helpful. And then I also track my sleep, but I am not someone who wears this during the day. I used to sometimes, but now I like having an actual watch on my wrist. So, smartwatch, just a Apple Watch. I think this is a Series 6. But then as far as my actual watches go, the first one in my current collection, and I've had some in the past that have died or I've just gotten rid of or other stuff, but it would be this khaki Hamilton Field Automatic, which I got as a 21st birthday gift from my parents. And it is just an absolutely gorgeous watch with the black dial, automatic movement on the back. And then I really, really like this leather strap. It's like a very deep olive looking color. I do probably need to get a new strap at some point. I've had this for about 3 years now, and it's definitely gotten its use. Part of the strap has came off, but I love how this watch looks on my wrist. It goes with most of the stuff I wear. I like wearing a lot of green and earth tones, and then also just the black dial. If I ever wanted to put a different strap, matches really well. So this is what it looks like on my wrist. It's a smaller case diameter. I think it's about 38 millimeters, which is right up my alley on what I like. I don't like watches that are too big typically. I know I have an uncle who he loves like a 44 millimeter, just takes up your whole wrist. I don't like anything too small necessarily, but I think 38 millimeters is the perfect range for me. So, first watch in my current collection, it's a really good one. Actually, my favorite, and probably has gotten the most use out of all of my watches if I had to take a guess. And then the next one I got, this is an automatic watch. It's only about $100, and it is a dive watch. It's Vostok is the brand. It's Russian. At least at the time I got it, it was about $100. And this is a really cool model. It's called the Scuba Dude model, which is rather self-explanatory if you have the video. But there's a scuba diver on the frame. There's this really deep blue color to it, and I've had a few different straps on it. It came with a rubber strap. I added a titanium strap, and now I have this nylon strap. And this is one of my bigger watches that I wear. This one's a 41 millimeter case. It has this dial I was talking about earlier for dive watches that changes. You can change and track how much time has gone by if you're diving is what it's meant for. But it's a Russian-made watch. It's automatic. I think it's absolutely one of the best automatic watches you can get for around $100. And I've gotten maybe more compliments on this watch, despite it being the second least expensive watch I got in here. Definitely the least expensive automatic watch. And I'll wear this if I go to the lake or if it's raining, or it's kind of a beater watch for me, but it's a really good looking one at that. And then my next watch, this one is pretty interesting as well. And like the Vostok, if you do any research into really good watches for reasonable prices, this one comes up a lot. This is the Seagull 1963. So it's a mechanical watch, so you hand wind it. I did add a leather strap. It came with a nylon, a green strap. I'm blanking on the name of exactly what it was called, but this is a Chinese pilot inspired watch, and the back is really, really cool. So you hand wind it. Here, I wonder if you can hear the sound in the microphone. But you hand wind this watch, and it's just I really like the off white beige face that it has, and then the blue and red stand out. I've also gotten a ton of compliments on this watch. I was pulled over one time for speeding, and the officer, he complimented this watch and didn't give me a ticket. So don't know if that was correlated, but I'll definitely always remember that when I look at this watch. But I do really like this watch. It works well just for a dress watch or a more casual watch, kind of anything in between. It has a few complications on it, but it's a really gorgeous watch, and you can get them for about $160, $200. There's different types. I know there's also different brands that do this model, but as long as you get a hand wind one, I think you're pretty good to go. And then this next one would be my racing watch here. This is Hoffman. It's more of a micro brand, based out of the U.S. I really, really liked this yellow dial. I knew I had, so the Hamilton, the Vostok, and the Seagull 1963, those were all really good looking watches, and I kind of wanted to get something a little more bold, casual, fun, and I came across this online, and I asked for it for Christmas. This is the quartz version, has a tachometer on it, a few complications here, but the yellow dial is really, really nice. So I also really like how this deep black leather strap, it's just a good looking watch. I like to wear it on days where I'm driving a lot, even though I don't actually use the tachometer or the complications necessarily, but it makes me feel cool driving with this on and just being able to glance at it. I know it kind of looks like, I'm blanking on the name of the Rolexes that have this sort of style with it, but I am a big fan of this watch, and I just like the way it looks, and I will hopefully continue to have this one for some time. And then next on my list, This is a Tag Heuer Formula 1, so it's got the little Formula 1 with it. It's just black face, stainless steel, date function on it. I mean, just an absolute solid. Like if I had to get rid of all my watches and I just needed one watch, this would hands down be it. I mean, this goes with absolutely any outfit, any occasion, barring like some crazy super formal black tie tuxedo event. I mean, it's just a really cool watch. I got it from my dad as a gift when I got certified as an investigator, and even the back's cool. I don't know if you can. I'm trying to think how to show it, but it's the Tag Heuer. It's raised and engraved the Formula One on the back there. So this is an absolutely gorgeous watch. It is quartz, so sometimes quartz watches do get a little more expensive, but I do truly love this watch, and it's gotten a ton of use since I've gotten it. And then with all that, I've had all these watches. I really like gold. I've always liked how gold looks on me. I don't know if other people do or if that is the best looking thing on me, but for some reason I was like, the next watch I want a gold watch. And I really didn't have any particularly inexpensive watches. The Vostok isn't too much, but I figured I'd go with the Casio. So I got this Casio. The exact model is it's a vintage A168WG-9VT. And I think I got it for about $60, but it's just simple. It's got the digital face, unlike the other ones that have the watch movement. So this is quartz Casio. I mean, it's just so easy to see the time, to look at, to use, and it really is a good looking watch. So if I go to concerts or places that I'm even worried about my Vostok, I'll actually wear this. If I like EDM shows a lot, so I think this is a really good one because it's easy to read. It has a illuminating function, so if you're in the dark, you can still see, and it's just a solid watch. I like how the gold looks a lot. And then this next one, I think if I had to say a favorite of all my watches, and certainly the most expensive watch that I bought, but I bought myself this after I started my master's program in Sweden. I'd been working for some time, and I thought it would be really cool to get a watch with a GMT function since I knew I'd be going on multiple trips outside of the country. And the GMT function, for anyone who doesn't know, it allows you to track two time zones at the same time. And I know I've talked about the tachometer and then timers, and there's other stuff on these other watches, but the GMT function when I've been abroad has actually been so useful. I've used it way more than I thought I would. I know you can obviously look on your clock on your phone app, but this is just so much quicker to glance at your wrist to see two different time zones. And I also just absolutely love the way this one looked that I picked out. So this is Cristopher Ward, and this is their Dune GMT edition. So if you can see the face there, um, there's the green arrow, that is the GMT hand, and that can track multiple time zones. So when I'm in the US, I track Sweden time. When I'm in Sweden, I track the US time. It also has the date at the bottom here. It's a automatic movement. I think Solido is the name of the movement, something like that. But I know right before I got it, I did some research and it said it's a pretty fantastic GMT movement. And then just I mean, I love the color green, which is weird, but I really do like it. And just the beige, I mean, just the way this watch looks is absolutely gorgeous to me. It really it might be, I mean, just at least for me now, my perfect watch. So this is how it looks on my wrist. I'm trying to think the best way to show it. And it's another 38 millimeter, which is pretty rare for GMTs, especially automatic movements. They're usually larger watches. So I am super happy with this watch. Cristopher Ward, it's a pretty interesting brand. I think it's based out of the United Kingdom, but they have a ton of different stuff and their thing is mostly they're just an online store. So they have some really good prices for the quality of watches that you're getting, and they have a ton of different models. So if you're into a mid-tier watch, and well, I'm not sponsored in any way, but I'm promoting them. Cristopher Ward, if you want to sponsor me, please do. But I would recommend checking them out. I was wearing this on my flight back after Sweden, I went to Dublin on my last trip. There's actually a direct flight through Aer Lingus from Dublin to Nashville. But I was on my flight, and the flight attendant, he asked about my watch. He was like, that's an awesome watch. Where'd you get it? I told him all about it. He gave me some extra snacks and stuff. So kind of like the law enforcement officer with my Seagull, I'll remember this Aer Lingus flight with this one. Um, but yeah, I do like tying my watches to memories, like my Hamilton, my 21st birthday, the tag, me getting certified in my job, and the GMT, me starting my master's program in Sweden. So some of the other ones have not been particularly as memorable, but I think for the future, I'll like getting watches connected with a memory. But last but not least, I have this watch that I got very recently. So it's a old Citizen watch. It's quartz. It does not currently work. I need to get a battery. But my grandma is moving out of her house that she's lived in pretty much her entire adult life. My mom grew up there, and they went to Florida recently to help her clean it. And my grandpa, he passed away. I want to say I was 6 years old, somewhere around then. But this is his one of his watches that they found and that they moved out, and I want to figure out getting a battery on this. It's a cool band, like it stretches like that. That's something I've never seen on a watch personally. It's it's definitely a little big for my wrist, but I do really like the way this one looks. And just I was talking about memory a second ago, so connecting this to my grandpa. There's two other ones we have as well, but this one for some reason just stands out to me. So I'm going to work on figuring that out. But as far as future watches, I think my next watch that I want or will get will be a Cartier tank. I think there's different types of Cartier, and I've looked at the Santos is fantastic, although double the price. But there is something about the tank that is just, it's so classic. It's the quintessential dress watch. I can't think of a watch that looks as good as it does in a tuxedo as a Cartier tank would. And then also in casual wear, there's been a lot of celebrities and other people in the past who have worn the tank. And it's smaller, but the shape, the rectangle, the way the Roman numerals are, the little blue part where you actually change the time. It's such a classic watch that I think I just want the basic Cartier tank. I think that will be a wedding gift for myself. And then who knows, I may get more watches as wedding gifts from family members or otherwise, which would be cool. And then in the future, there are definitely a few watches that I've been wanting. I do think I want a Cartier Santos at some point. There's a dark green Cartier Santos. Let me see if I can find a picture. That is just absolutely gorgeous to me. Um, and then there's also the Tag Monaco, which I mentioned at the beginning, talking about racing watches. I know some people don't like it. I guess that's a controversial one. Well, before I do that, here's the Cartier watch. That's insane. If I don't know if the camera's doing it justice, but the deep green color there is, it's so cool to me. But the Tag Monaco is such a cool racing watch. Like I like the idea of having all five very specific of the dress watch, field watch, diving watch, pilot's watch, racing watch, and then having five other watches that kind of blend those. Like my Christopher Ward kind of blends that. But yeah, I think so for a racing watch, I don't think there's one better than the Monaco. I think I have a little bit before I'm able to afford that. And then another one I really like is the No Time to Die Omega watch. I'll find a picture of that too. But I definitely want some sort of James Bond watch at some point. There's different ones from the movies. I'm pulling this one up here. Yeah, this Sea Diver. Now, this wasn't my favorite of the casino or of the Daniel Craig films, but there's something about this watch that just screams James Bond more than the other James Bond Omega watches I've seen. Like the way I don't know. There's just something about the color scheme there, and then the titanium band. But that is like a $10,000 watch. So it yeah, we're gonna have to wait on that one. I'm sure as I go on this journey, there will be more and more watches that I also want. It's it, but I do think there is something really awesome about watches, about having analog things. I think if you don't have one, you should get one because there's so many options, even at really, really good prices. I mean, few people need $1,000 plus watch or care enough to have them. For me, I really like them. I have different watches I want, and but even then, most of my collection is pretty affordable. And I think just having a watch, like when you need to dress up, when you need to wear a suit, when you're going on a date, it looks better than a smartwatch or nothing on your wrist. To me, I mean, I know to each their own, but I guess that is the aesthetic that I like. I like a little bit older stuff. I don't know what it is about watches, but they're also very practical. And I know we have our phones and other stuff, but there's something nice about not needing to check your phone and just being able to look at the time. Um, so yeah, I would recommend anyone to get a watch and just check out. There's so many different options. You can start simple with just a quartz watch. You could look on Amazon if you wanted. You could browse. I mean, there's a range of different things, and yeah, maybe you'll get a little addicted like I have been down the watch rabbit hole. And now I really do appreciate when people have nice watches on or nice watch collections, and it's a fun thing to talk about. And it's yeah, I like the world of watches. So if you're in the world of watches, that's awesome. If you're not, it could be your thing. So worth trying out. But yeah, it was fun talking about my watches, showing my watches for day 5 of this 30-day challenge, uploading a podcast every day. I'm gonna have to keep doing some of these solo episodes, keeping it shorter. I can't do guests on every episode. I wish I could, but it would not be possible to do this content. But I do like that I have been branching out a bit from my normal content, talking about things I like to talk about, like watches. So comment what you think of my watch collection. Comment if there's any watches that you have that you really like or that you really want. And then please subscribe, follow along, give a like, join this journey, 30 podcasts in 30 days. This isn't an easy challenge. So I'm hoping you guys enjoy. I'm hoping I get some value, you get some value, and yeah, let's keep doing it. All right. Thank you for watching.